What up, YouTube? Big T.O. Heavy Bag Boxing TV, man. You don't get your big goof ass in here for this one. Alright, man. Breaking news. Terrence Bud Crawford drops that WBO scrap. That's right. It's out of there. He's done. It's finito. And listen, I don't know if you guys can remember. I told you, listen, if he gets a crack at Madrimov in that WBA at 54, more than likely, he would go ahead and drop those 47 belts. I don't think it's a secret. Crawford more than likely is not going to return to 47. Even though right now, with the landscape the way it is at 54, I'm not so sure what fight he'd be able to take next. That would give him, the legacy that he's looking for, as well as the payday. We heard Turkey Al-Sheikh say, he wanted to get the Virgil Ortiz fight next for Bud Crawford, but because of the interesting contest between him and Boychuk, most likely a rematch could be warranted there, and I couldn't be mad at that. That was a great fight. Got to see that one in person. And listen, if you ask me, I thought Boychuk won. So definitely wouldn't be mad at a rematch there. Now, with Bud Crawford, of course, dropping the belt, that elevates my boy Brian Norman Jr. And shout out Senior, because maybe 2 or 3 hours prior to this news dropping, I was in Vegas, and a source of mine told me that Teofimo Lopez could be offered to fight with Brian Norman, or Brian Norman Jr. offered to fight with Teofimo Lopez for Heisman weekend up in New York. So listen, don't be surprised if that news gets announced. I did confirm with Senior. They haven't heard word yet. Now, remind you, this was back in June, I believe, or July. That fight between Teofimo Lopez and Brian Norman Jr. Was supposed to have been agreed upon, right? Teofimo visited the idea of fighting Brian Norman Jr. And now he has even more motivation to, being that Brian Norman Jr. has been elevated to full champ, right? Now, a lot of y'all didn't know who the hell Brian Norman Jr. was before the Santillan fight, and that was a war. And he was able to get Santillan out of there in tremendous fashion in the 10th round. And given the looks of Teofimo Lopez versus a Steve Claggett and a Jermaine Ortiz in his last couple of fights, I'm going to continue to say this. Brian Norman Jr. might just get in that ass. Pause. No diddy. Teofimo Lopez, with aspirations of fighting the best in Bud Crawford, I'm almost positive you can't get these guys out of there in 47. So I would love to see that Brian Norman Jr. and Teofimo Lopez fight next. Hopefully the Vegas source is correct on this one. And I'm sorry, excuse me, I want to put that pressure on him. He just said, listen, this could likely happen next. Let me make sure I clarify that. But that's a beautiful matchup to me. And now this puts Brian Norman Jr. for sure on Boots Ennis' radar, who has told us on several occasions now that he would like to go ahead and clean the division up, become undisputed before he moves to 54. Now, I was all for Boots going straight to 54. I hate for him to be late to the party. And if he does decide to stay at 47 and clean it up, or attempt to clean it up, because with Brian Norman Jr. there, I'm just not so sure that's going to happen. I'm telling you, stop sleeping on Brian Norman Jr. right now. But if that is the case for Boots, then you'll probably be late to the party at 54 and having that opportunity versus a Bud Crawford. But listen, the landscape's always shifting. And as of right now, with Bud Crawford dropping a WBO and elevating and that elevating Brian Norman Jr. It's a brand new day. Definitely want to know y'all's thoughts. Big T, heavy bag. I'm out of here.